Hi there, can I have everyone's attention please? Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? The service will begin in just a moment or two, so I do ask that everybody please take a seat. Before the service begins, I do ask everybody please take out your cell phones to check that they are either turned off or on silent, please.
Sorry about it. How are you? Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. I thought it was good. Jay Deutsch was here for a second. For a second? Yeah, just still here somewhere. Figured out I was sitting. I didn't sit hello. I was 29, so that means we were young. Yeah. Worse for him. The Ivy from Wrigley Field. Pretty cool. He's in a Springsteen t-shirt and a Cubs jersey. Blood sugar, I think. Blood sugar. Anti-rejection medication. Make sure you're diabetic. Worst part of car accident budget was in the 30s with 100 and people got a bunch of things. Well, you know, I saw him this morning. He's living a date like 3 days before he died. He's driving around and he lived to the end, right? Yeah. Trying to get a nurse. All right. Come to Messianos? We're to Messianos afterwards. Are you? Come to Messianos.
We do have the chair as well with the armrest if somebody wants to sit there and then just go next to each other even if you're not on the bench.
Slide over, Cindy. Slide over. Nothing here. Slide over.
We like each other, right?
Fine, we like each other.
We like each other or not? That's what I meant, right?
I heard you guys.
Blackhawks, yeah. Hi there, can I have everyone's attention, please? On behalf of the family, I would like to thank everyone so much for being here to celebrate Harry, his life, and all of his amazing accomplishments. Once again, before the service begins, please take out your cell phones to check that they're either turned off or on silent, please. Officiating the service today, we have Rabbi Michael Davis.
I'm here to chant the prayers, support the family. Greetings to all the Blackhawks, Cubs, Illini, and all the other teams represented here. I think on a day like today, even the White Sox are welcome. Risking a little bit there. So we begin with an ancient text, the 23rd Psalm, perhaps the most beloved of all the Hebrew Psalms from the Hebrew Bible. All the prayers we're going to say today are on the inside panel of the handout you received as you entered. I will chant it in the traditional, original Hebrew as a prayer of comfort, I hope, and then invite us all to read it together from the English translation. Adonai roi lo echsar bino deshe yarbitzeni al mei menuchot al mei menuchot Nafshi yeshovev, yeshovev, yancheni v'maglei tzedek, yancheni v'maglei tzedek, Gam ki elech begeitz al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha Techa hema yenachamuni taroch lefanai shulchan Shanta Vashemen Roshi Kosi Revaya Achtov Vachesed Yidefuni Kol Yemei Chayai Kol Yemei Chayai Veshavti Beveit Adonai Leorech Yomim. us read together the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I just want to offer a brief reflection on this one word in the final verse we just chanted, the teaching that the word I will dwell. The Hebrew that I just chanted before we read the English together was the Hebrew word v'shavti, which doesn't quite translate to dwell. The word for dwell in Hebrew is close, but a little different. It's v'yashavti, a little close but different. The shavti has meaning. It means I will return. So you can see why we've embraced this translation, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, the familiar sound of that phrase. Because what does it mean to say, I will return in the house of the Lord forever? It has no meaning. Return to. Once you've returned to, you can dwell in. And hence we have, I will dwell in. And I wondered, what if there is some deeper meaning that the language doesn't quite hold, that comes through the cracks, and we can get our minds around, I will return in the house of the Lord forever. And perhaps today, more than any other day, to be aware as we go through our mortal journey and we chart a course of whatever road of success and wholeness and integrity that we chart for ourselves, inevitably, in the messiness of life, we will fall away from that path. That's just the way life works, whether it's in physical health, emotional well-being, relationships. Who among us has not lost a friendship? Integrity. Who among us has not made a mistake? And when those moments happen, what we can hope for is to come back to the path we've charted, and perhaps as we have a few more grey hairs, we spend a little less time off the path and bounce back. We have less time to spend off the path, we come back quicker. And what we can do to accomplish that is to set in store for us these houses of the Lord, places within which to nurture our souls. Traditionally, the pictures here of synagogue, these are houses of worship. But perhaps more broadly, in our more open society, it's anywhere where we find spiritual sustenance, whether it's family, friends, nature, music, Wrigley Field, wherever it is, wherever those spiritual places are. So my hope and prayer for you is that this beautiful, rich, wonderful gathering, this celebration, is one such house of the Lord within which you to come back to the path of wholeness. I want to add one other verse from the book of Psalms. It's said at times of rejoicing, but it has a note of sadness in it too. It's the verses of the Hallel, the verses of celebration. And it's one verse. It says, the stone that the builders cast away was made into the cornerstone. The stone that was cast aside by the builders shall become the cornerstone. And perhaps there's a deep spiritual, human truth here of any of us who's been cast away and has come back in this way or another way to celebrate that. And perhaps that's the divine dimension. Heaven masu habonim haita lerosh pina. Heaven masu habonim haita lerosh pina. Let us take a few moments together for private reflections, personal memories, a prayer if you like. Let's take a few moments of silence all together. Come together with a prayer for peace, affirming each other's prayers. It's the last line and a half of the Mourner's Kaddish, that first prayer on the page, beginning with a capital O. I will lead you in song, as I like to say. If you know it, please sing out loud. And if you don't, just fake it along with everybody else. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, 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 yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. We turn to the main part of the service, hearing the tributes, the eulogies. We're going to hear from 5 family members and friends, beginning with Lucy. If you're ready to come up, come on up.
Thank you all so much for coming here today. Part of my dad's will stipulates that he has to be memorialized within 500 feet of a Fannie Mae. So I appreciate everyone making the journey out here. Before I get into everything, I wanted to touch on 2 things that my dad became very passionate about. The first is that he would want me to encourage everyone to sign up to be an organ donor. The second was that it's a little known fact that it's possible to be a living liver donor, where a small piece of your liver can be transplanted and both the old and the new liver regenerate, thus bringing new life to the donor and to the recipient. I think that he would have really appreciated me sharing that, and I just wanted everyone to know that those were his values. My dad loved everyone and everything. He loved making people laugh and smile, and he believed that the point of life was to be kind to others. He shared this compassion with everyone he met. He even managed to find some love in his heart for White Sox fans. My dad always encouraged me to do my best, and that every day was a new opportunity to do good. He told me that if I'm confident and if I believe in myself, I can achieve any goal I set my mind to. He also taught me what it meant to be Jewish, ordering 3 entrees and 2 appetizers per person when we go out for Chinese food, and if it's Christmas, you just double it. He would take me to Poochie's or to Herm's after Sunday school and tell me that one of the most important things that you can do as a Jewish person is to take a photo of your meal before eating it. Harry always wanted us to get a dog growing up, especially when Reggie and I were young. He wanted us to experience what it was like for him to grow up with a fluffy little friend. Who we ended up with was our cat, Mr. Morton, who was Harry's perfect pet because he would sit, fetch, roll over, and bring him the TV remote. My whole life is highlighted by sweet stories and memories like these, and I've compiled a few for you guys today. When I was only 2 months old, my dad and I were watching the Super Bowl. For those of you who don't remember that game as vividly as I do, it was the game where the Ravens and the Giants had back-to-back kickoff touchdown returns. My dad unfortunately missed both of these touchdowns because he was in the other room changing my diaper. He never let me live it down, claiming that I did it on purpose, and after that we made sure to get a TV in my nursery. We had this memory matching game with all the NBA teams on it, and we would play it together so frequently that by the time I went into preschool, I didn't know my ABCs, but I knew every NBA team by city, state, and logo. In first grade, I fell off the monkey bars and I broke my wrist, and I had to go get a cast, and I was so happy that they had hot pink as one of the available options. I was excited coming home from the hospital because I knew that the next day at school I would have everybody sign my cast, and it would be the coolest thing for all those 7-year-olds. I wanted my dad to be the first one to sign it, so when I got home I went up to him, and he took it upon himself to write "Dad" in big bubble letters across the entire underside of my arm. So thank goodness that first graders have tiny handwriting. In second grade, my parents took Reggie and I to go see Backyardigans live in the city. We got to skip school that day, so I was already super ecstatic. You can imagine how much more I got excited when my dad suggested that we stop for pizza for the show. And out of all the amazing pizza spots in downtown Chicago, we somehow ended up at a Sbarro. The four of us are sitting there eating our authentic Italian cuisine when we see another family from my class come up to us, and their dad and they all come up and they go, "Hey, funny to see you guys. Are you all here for Backyardigans Live too?" And my dad, without thinking, without missing a beat, without hesitation, goes, "No, we're just here for the food." And I think that's my favorite joke he's ever told. My dad was also responsible for getting me some of my favorite video games when I was a kid, especially Mario Galaxy 2, the one where you could play with Yoshi. That was big. This was almost as cool as the hot pink DSi my Uncle Danny got me for my birthday. Despite my dad's challenges with technology, my dad would always try to pick up a controller next to Reggie and I and give it his best shot. He loved his classics like Galaga, Space Invaders, and Dig Dug, but he made time for some Mario Kart and Minecraft with us as well. When I was 10, he took me to my first concert, and who else would it be but Bruce? We were at Wrigley Field, and I was only wearing, it was in September, and I was only wearing one of his old Bruce t-shirts, and it just suddenly started to downpour out of nowhere, and it was raining and raining for 3.5 hours, and my dad and I stood right there on the field watching the show happen, and that concert was incredibly memorable for a number of reasons. My first concert, seeing the Boss, but I think the reason that it stuck with me most was the pneumonia I got after being in the rain for 4 hours in just a t-shirt. But for the Boss, it's worth it. When I was 10 or 11, I joined my first Girl Scout troop, and my dad would take the cookie order form into work, and he would always get me an extra 100, 200 boxes. To this day, I'm not sure if he actually is just a really good salesman or if he just wanted to get other people's names and use it to get himself to get more Thin Mints. One of my favorite shows of all time is SpongeBob SquarePants, and I still watch it to this day, especially the early episodes. I would be in the family room watching SpongeBob on the big TV, and my dad would watch his games without sound on the other two smaller TVs. And if you haven't seen our TV setup at the house, this is very confusing. My dad would record every episode of SpongeBob that aired, and he would have me close my eyes as he picked a random episode, and then see how long it took me to guess the episode by title. I remember he ended up taking me to see the SpongeBob musical when it was in Chicago, and it was truly one of the best days ever. In high school, my dad would take me and my friends to the Hawks game for my birthday, because they usually had a game that week. And I just remember we made a tradition out of it, and one year he had the Jumbotron say a little message, "Happy birthday, Lucy." And I thought it was just so amazing and surreal to, be there and think that, wow, Jim Cornelison is reading my name right now. My dad loved all of his friends, his and my friends, but my dad loved all of my friends, and he always encouraged me to hang out with the people that I cared about. He'd pick me up and drop me off at their houses every week. He would tell me to be home at midnight, and when I'd call him at 11:59 asking to stay out another 3 hours, he'd say yes. He loved my friends, and my friends loved him. He loved them because I loved them, and because he loved me. My dad wanted every day to be a celebration, whether it was your birthday, your half birthday, or just a day he went to the grocery store. He'd almost always come home with some kind of chocolate cake or French silk pie. He knew that every day was special, and that he always wanted to make other people feel not just acknowledged, but also feel celebrated. The biggest impact I think my dad had on me was not his kindness or his humor or even his encyclopedic knowledge of all things sports, but his love of music. For the first 10 years of my life, I thought that the radio only had 2 stations, sports and kids music. I didn't listen to actual real music until when I was about 11 or 12, my dad got an iPod Touch, and it was over from that point on. He loaded that baby up with thousands of songs from all of his favorite artists. So I grew up listening to the Beatles, Stones, Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, and so many other artists and groups that I still really love to this day. Of course, my dad's favorite was Bruce, so he's had probably every song and every breath Bruce has taken on that iPod. My dad also loved the Beatles, so much so that he and my mom named me after one of their songs. I love Bruce, I like the Beatles, but one artist I really want to highlight today that my dad and I always loved was Billy Joel. When I was in preschool, we had a talent show. And while most kids that age went up there and sang Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star or Mary Had a Little Lamb, I went up in my preschool talent show and sang Billy Joel's Movin' Out. It's a good one. It's a good album. My dad would sometimes sing to me at night, and one of his go-tos was always Just the Way You Are. And now I'm no stranger to the wise words of the great American philosopher Billy Joel. So I just want to end by sharing with you all some words that I feel are very fitting. Hey, it's good to be a young man and to live the way you please. Yes, a young man is the king of every kingdom that he sees, but there's an old and feeble man not far behind. Oh, that surely will catch up to him somewhere along the line. That surely will catch up to him somewhere along the line. I love you so much, Dad.
Partner on air and dear friend, Spike Manton.
What's growing on? Yeah, me too. So this won't be easy, and there's still more filming to come, so it's not going to be quick. But Harry never said a quick goodbye in his life, so that feels right, doesn't it? This is a moment filled with sadness as we all wrestle with how to fill that Harry-sized hole in each of our lives. But like Lucy said, he loved a celebration, so I hope today can be one. So I'll start off with some words Harry loved to hear. Hey, HT, looks like you lost some weight. I'm not surprised the room is so full. Harry knew everyone, and he loved telling you about the people he knew. Think about how many stories you've heard about people you never met. I heard so many stories about Greg Rudenberg, I thought I grew up next door to him. Well, Greg Rudenberg, my next door neighbor, moved to San Diego. He taught me how to gamble. He taught me how to drive. I was so happy to meet Greg and tell him, you are an awful teacher. Not your best work, Greg. Harry Teinowitz, just He was just so Harry. You know, he loving family man, devoted friend, great son, great brother. He loved his mother. He loved sharing his mother with his friends, and maybe too much. I know there's some people in this room that remembered when he thought it was a really good idea to invite literally every comic in the Midwest to his house for a pool party. And I don't know what took longer to recover, his mom, the 7 dogs, or the house. He was so proud of Lucy for getting a master's degree and Reggie for his early acceptance into the FAA Academy to become an air traffic controller. Please get to Newark, they need your help, Reggie. Harry's goal was to make everyone happy. Tammy and I and the kids lived in Lakeview, and he called me up and said, "Hey, I bought a condo, I think it's close to you." Our decks were 24 inches apart. My kids grew up next door to the world's biggest kid. I remember he had a planter on his deck, and he put cereal boxes in it, the little ones from the variety pack. And then the next day he calls the kids over, and he replaced them with big family-sized cereal boxes. And he goes, "Look how fast they grew, they're ready to eat." Now, I know most of the people in the room today know Harry from his more rambunctious days. He was kind of a legend. He literally knew the names of every bartender, waiter, and waitress in 50 bars on the north side. Ironically, there's a lot of people in this room today that also know Harry for not drinking. Because in 2011, in what he called his greatest accomplishment, next to Lucy and Reggie, he put down the drinks and he got sober and was completely clean ever since. 2011 was a devastating year for Chicago bars. Harry and I met actually doing stand-up comedy. I would try to entertain crowds, he'd try to entertain waitresses, and we both got heckled. We ended up on the radio together. We were only together in the air for a few years. It just seemed longer. Our last stop was probably the most memorable. In the industry, it's known as a classic radio clusterfuck, also known as The Game 87.7. But we did make a friend for life. Thanks, JP. Then just when we thought we'd run out of media to fail in, we decided to turn his story into a play. And we wrote When Harry Met Rehab, produced by Don Clark, the older brother of his lifetime best friend, Tom Clark, which was kind of cool. He ran to Chicago, off-Broadway, New York last fall, and it was just really special for him to get to see his story up on stage. Even if it meant teaching him how to download a PDF 341 different times. Technology, not one of his unique skills. My least favorite role was his tech support. I told him once, "You'll love this show. It's on Netflix." And he goes, Lucy took Netflix to college. The man who could recall every jersey number of every Chicago athlete who ever lived could not remember a single password. I'm not sure. I think I used Springsteen's 4th album, Darkness on the Edge of Town. I'm like, you type with one finger. Pick a password that takes less than an hour to fill in, could you? The only technology he could master was the candy drawer. And that's a real thing. A Willy Wonka-style candy drawer was a staple in his childhood home and every place he lived ever since. I used to ask him if a shrine to type 1 diabetes was really the best idea. But you don't get between Harry and his chocolate-covered cherries. He did conquer Twitter. Relentlessly, I might add. I don't know how he did it, but he tweeted something this morning. It's pretty impressive. My two favorite things we did together were kind of a perfect example of his ability to convince people to do unpredictable things. We used to do a benefit each year for child abuse, and one year he actually convinced Jerry Reinsdorf, yes, that Jerry Reinsdorf, owner of the Chicago Bulls, Chicago White Sox, to come to the Park West and be roasted. It was just a spectacular night. And his favorite memory of that night is that Jerry Reinsdorf got more laughs making fun of Harry than Harry got making fun of him. The other is a little crazier even. September of 2000, White Sox are in a pennant race. 9 players agreed to take their off night in September and spend it in a comedy club, putting on a show with us for charity. Paul Canerco hosted a game show. Jose Valentin did stand-up. Kelly Wunsch sang parody songs. It's just a ridiculous night. He called it comic relief pictures. He was so proud of that. My final moment with Harry today was hard. You know, I didn't know what to do. I just leaned over and I just said, "You can relax now. Everything's okay." And I heard him say back to me, "I can't believe Chicago Sports Network hasn't called me back yet." I don't know if everybody can remember the Kool-Aid commercial where the kids would shout out and then the giant pitcher of Kool-Aid bust through the wall. I always thought that's how Harry entered every room and every conversation he was ever part of. Well, not through the wall. Doors were challenging enough. But a memorable impression. He just had that gift, you know? You'd be like, "Hey, Harry, this is my Aunt Doris from Delaware." He's like, "Oh, hello, Aunt Doris. It's a pleasure to meet home of the Fighting Blue Hens." If I'd have known you were going to be here, I would have brought peach blossoms. Spike probably doesn't know that's your state flower. And Aunt Doris, for the rest of time, would say, "How is that, Harry? He's so sweet." Going through life with Harry was like being with this mashup of Eddie Haskell and Ferris Bueller. You know, he'd leave home with no plan, run into a problem, throw out some stupid Harryism, and end up singing on a float in a parade. Just, it's kind of awesome. I'll miss it. We all will. So, Harry's not here to tell us stories anymore, you know? We all have countless stories. Let's make it a point to keep Harry around by telling our stories about him. As our amazing friend himself said to Tom Cruise, "Excellent idea, Joel." Really. I'm hopeful that today can be a celebration. Harry loved to celebrate everything. Birthdays were such a huge deal for him. When we had a Saturday night show, our producer was a high school senior, Mark Jacobson. This morning, he shared this with me, and I'm sure everyone got a call like this every year. Sure. Thanks, technology.
Boy, you're a tremendous dad, great husband, and just a fabulous, fabulous, fantastic friend. Happy birthday and many more.
Every year, you would get a call like that from Harry. It drove him crazy that I don't care about my birthday. every year he would try to do something, some big surprise, something to make me uncomfortable and get me to care. And boy, did he finally pull it off. Today is my birthday. And he got me to speak at a gigantic party in front of all of his friends in the world. You really got me finally, Harry. You got me good. And Harry would want me to remind you one last time, don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses. Thanks.
We'll hear from siblings, beginning with Nancy Teinowitz.
Hello, everyone. I did not get the memo to wear a Hawks jersey. My apologies. Harry used to actually give me jerseys every year for my birthday, and I would be so excited with the big box, and I'd open it and be like, oh. It's a size small. Who in this house is it going to fit? We actually, like they were saying, we always celebrated birthdays, except maybe not Spike's, but we just celebrate. Danny's birthday is July 9th, and on July 11th, we had one of our many Teinowitz dinners with the 7 appetizers and 5 entrees, and giant dessert from a bakery brought into the restaurant. And my birthday is in June. I'd been in New York on my birthday, and Harry came in with this giant box on Danny's birthday and said, happy birthday, and I was praying it was not a Hawks jersey. But it was this purse, and I wanted to bring it today because when I opened it, I liked it almost as much as I liked the Hawk jerseys because I wear black, and my mother would call this pistachio or spearmint. She named every color a flavor, but it's just so hairy because it's bright and it's big and it's boisterous and it's fun, and I'm going to wear this purse every day from now on. So Harry loved my husband very much, my husband Scott, and when my whole family was introduced to Scott and we were engaged, one of my relatives had a hearing problem and she couldn't understand, this is my fiance Scott, and she kept going, Ott? You're marrying someone named Ott? Ott? And at the same dinner on July 11th, Harry was so proud because on Amazon he had found an Ottawa senator's cap that said Ott, and he gave it. This is 30 years later since our engagement. Here, Scott would not wear the hat today with his suit, but he now has a Ott baseball cap, his last gift from Harry. And my son is a huge Simpsons fan, and Harry was very proud he had found him not a Bart or Homer t-shirt, but a Mr. Burns t-shirt. And that was brought to the dinner as well. So, I mean, Harry was the most generous person, and he was not feeling great the last year or so, but he discovered Amazon. And he realized that he could get gifts delivered to his house and then give them to people when they visited him. And I think many of you in this room probably have gotten a text from Harry recently saying, what size t-shirt do you wear? Because his favorite thing was to find silly t-shirts that were apropos for each person. I'm going to tell you some stories about some of the things Harry did for me when I was a kid. So we grew up in Glencoe, and Wren's Pharmacy was on the corner of Vernon and Park. And as we became teenagers, the girls, we were so excited to go look at all the makeup and the nail polish. And I always loved getting my nails done and doing my nails. I got purple for Harry yesterday, his favorite color. And there was this Christian Dior Lazy Susan of nail polish. It probably had 50 colors, and it went around, and they all had cool names, and you could go with your friends and see which ones you wanted to get next. Well, for my birthday, Harry went there and tried to buy the nail display for me. He wanted me to have every color in the rainbow. I'm sure he was going to charge it to my mom's house. He was very surprised that they would not sell it to him. Another time we went with my grandma Sylvia to Marshall Fields, on the big one on State Street on now what they now call Black Friday, and we lost Harry. And we had they had store detectives you could get in case your child was kidnapped or something, and he was found in the girls section because he knew I liked clothes. He was going to surprise me with an outfit, but he couldn't figure out what size I was, and so when we found him, he was sitting down with the sales lady eating a box of Frangos. This is a true story. My grandmother almost had a heart attack. We went to New York City in October for Harry and Spike's play. It was very exciting, and I'm like the goody-goody. I get to the airport 2 hours early, go through the TSA pre-check, and I have my one carry-on, and Danny came, and Harry's not there, and he's not there. And Harry comes, and they'd given him a wheelchair because sadly he was having a hard time. He was considered handicapped. But he was not sitting in the wheelchair. He was using the wheelchair to push his 5 carry-ons to the gate, and I'm like, I said, Harry, they're not going to let you bring on 5 carry-ons. He goes, just watch. And guess what? He tucked them into the 5 carry-ons. So that's how he was. Harry did what he wanted, but he made people want to let him do it. He loved Thanksgiving so much. In the last 2 years, maybe, he was in the hospital the week of Thanksgiving, and he'd be texting me going, don't worry. They're letting me out Thursday morning. They're letting me out Wednesday night. And he would be so excited to walk into my house for Thanksgiving and so excited to see the table and get the doggy bag. And I can't even cook, but I buy the food, but I can make the stuffing. He loved the family and the celebration. It was just so important to him. And we had a family text thread, and we have several of them. They took me off the sports one, thank God. But we have, and I'm like, please don't text me on Tuesday and Thursdays. Those are my huge teaching nights, and it's so disrupted. I got like 40 texts every Tuesday and Thursday. But he really cared, and my husband was on the text, and it was like, we were going back looking at all the texts, and we saw him on the 11th, and we texted with him on the 12th, and we texted with him on the 13th, and then I'm like, why didn't I text him on the 14th? It's just shocking. I'm never going to get another Harry text. I'm a dance teacher, and I have my own business, and I put on these shows, and lately I've been having these themes, like Time After Time, and I'd text Harry and say, give me some, because he's such a music encyclopedia, give me some songs about time, and he'd send me like the Guess Who, and the Stones, and this and that, and I'm like, give me songs about Come Rain or Come Shine. And then like, out of the blue, 2 weeks ago, Harry's like, I have your next theme, Hot and Cold, and he had a list of like 40 songs I should use. He really cared about everyone else. It wasn't just his thing, it was what's my thing, what's Danny's thing, what's Billy's thing, what's Elijah's thing, what's Cynthia's things, his nieces and nephews. He really wanted to know, and he wanted to know about my friends. And my friend Debbie, who lived across the street from Northwestern Hospital and would visit him every time he was in the hospital. And I live in Glencoe, and I was unable to go there that often. But Debbie would go visit for me, and he just, Debbie came to see me. Isn't that amazing? She brought me a steak sandwich from Carson's. So it's just like the little things with Harry, and the 4 of us have always been just so close, and those of you who have known us since childhood know that's always been the 4 Teinowitz siblings, and my brothers all call me their favorite sister. And we went to Disney World when we were little, and my mom made us wear matching gold sweatshirts that said Disney World, and Billy asked to go home and take a nap, and she said, no napping. This is our only time we get to go to Disney World. But we just had so much fun, and we always went to the Doral in Miami for Christmas, and we had the best time at the Doral, and we had all these memories together, and we loved sharing them and going over them, and I just can't put my mind around the fact we're not going to share them with Harry anymore, because it's always been the 4 of us, and we just loved him so much, and we knew he was sick, but it seemed like someone like Harry was just going to keep going. So we have to just all keep him going in our minds and in our hearts.
Brother Billy Teinowitz.
those of you who don't know me, I'm Harry's baby brother, Billy. I'm basically Harry if he had dark eyes, olive skin, and a little more charm with the ladies. We actually are the original William and Harry before those English royals stole our names. What can I say in just a few minutes about what it was like having a force of nature like Harry as an older brother? I'll try and focus on a few of his core attributes that made him uniquely and incredibly Harry. Enthusiasm. Harry had a genuine enthusiasm for life and maintained a youthful exuberance until he took his very last breath. When I was 4 years old, we moved into our legendary family home on Sheridan Road in Glencoe we called Tiny Acres. Many kids went to overnight summer camp on school breaks, but we had a private playhouse and summer camp of our own because all 4 of us Teinowitz kids would invite our friends over, and gatherings at our pool, backyard, and in our grand home were our lifeblood. Tiny Acres had a ballroom on the 3rd floor the previous owners had used for formal events. But Harry's enthusiasm surfaced, as did an idea to get some masking tape and create face-offs and goal creases and convert the ballroom into a childhood wonderland of a floor hockey arena instead. For the next 20-plus years, my brothers and I and all of our friends gathered there and battled with our fierce plastic sticks and pucks until one team emerged victorious. It was a brilliant idea Harry had conceived of, and a perfect place for us all to compete without killing each other. To this day, our friends still reminisce about our floor hockey ballroom and some of the famous faces we played with at it. I recall in one of our last games we played there, I repeatedly outmaneuvered TV's Richard Kind and scored at will until my team led to victory. Good thing he can act. Harry's enthusiasm also shined brightly in the amazing parties he threw at our house. Our sister Nancy's a dancer, and our New Trier East High School had a prolific performing arts division that had produced legends like Charlton Heston and Anne Margaret. Harry saw Nancy perform in musical theater there, and he decided to follow suit and perform as well. The only problem was he couldn't sing or dance. But he figured out comedy was his ticket to get him on that stage, and indeed it was. And when he became part of those shows, when he got to high school, he decided that our house was the perfect place to throw the cast parties. I was only in middle school and junior high, but the parade of beautiful high school girls and cool guys who were suddenly a regular presence at our house at these parties left me in wonderment with my older brother. Creativity. The most memorable party he threw in high school, in his high school tenure, was when Harry and his best friend Tom Clark decided to turn our basement into a casino, our pool table into a craps table, and invited everyone over in 1920s costumes to what he called Harold's Club. I was in awe watching what looked like a scene straight out of my favorite movie, The Sting, taking place right in our house. Devilishness. Harry enjoyed messing with people, and as his youngest brother, I became used to being a regular target of his deviousness. If I brought a new girlfriend to a family dinner, including our mom, grandparents, aunts and uncles, and more, Harry would wait intently for a quiet moment and turn to her, and he was sure to ask her something like, "So tell us what your favorite move is Billy makes in the bedroom." This also applied to going to see Harry at his stand-up comedy shows. Early on, I'd make the mistake of bringing a date and sitting right up front to get prime seats. But I quickly realized in doing so, Harry had me right where he wanted me. And a few minutes into his set, the topic of his routine quickly shifted to me and my date, and again, more embarrassing questions involving our romantic life. I very quickly learned to take seats in the faraway back corner of Harry's future comedy sets from that day forward. Passionate. Harry was passionate about the things he loved, like family, Chicago sports teams, chocolate, and for the men in our family, horse racing. Our dad had owned racehorses, and we loved nothing more than gathering together at our favorite racetracks to cheer on one of our racehorses. We can mark milestones in our life, from early childhood to full adulthood, by the winter circle photos we have and the people we have in them, with us in them. This got to be even more fun when we acquired a sensational horse named Crypto Clarence in 1985. It took us all across the U.S. to watch him compete at the highest level. When our dad took us 3 brothers on a racing trip, we were truly in our happy place. and crypto competed and placed in all 3 legs of the Triple Crown in 1987, which brought us memories together we'll never forget. They say an idle mind is the devil's playground. Well, one of Harry's favorite things to do regularly on these cross-country airplane trips was, as we were approaching our final destination, he would literally commandeer the PA system on the plane. And a very familiar voice would start to make the announcements to the passengers on the plane. It would go something like this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're traveling to Boston, you'll be at gate C11. If you're headed to Baltimore, I recommend the crab cakes. If you're going to Tuscaloosa, are you sure you really want to go to Tuscaloosa? The whole plane would crack up, and Harry would have that devilish twinkle in his eye walking back to his seat like the cat who'd just eaten the canary. Loyalty. Harry was fiercely loyal to his family and his friends. When he was asked to be the on-track handicapper live in-house on the in-house TV at Arlington Park on certain days, or when he was previewing racing's biggest days live on his radio shows, he would always say, "No one knows more about horse racing than my brother Billy," and he'd bring me in. He'd have me call in live to his radio shows as his secret weapon, and at Arlington we got to spend a handful of days on the in-house TV and simulcast network giving out our analysis and selections together at our hometown track to the fans. We were truly like 2 kids in a candy store doing that as brothers together in those moments. Loving. Harry loved hard, and he never stopped. I remember the day my beautiful daughter Cindy was born here at Evanston Hospital. Even though I'm the baby of our family, I was the first to have a child, and Harry was so genuinely excited and he couldn't wait to be an uncle. When Cindy arrived and I told Harry she was a girl, he asked if he could come meet her right away. So in he came, and he was literally the first person to hold her besides her parents. The love he had for her was instant, until he asked me, "Billy, does she have a diaper on?" And I said, "Not yet." And it turns out Cindy's first gift to her Uncle Harry was nearly instantly wetting one of his new college t-shirts. Still, he didn't seem to mind, and it set the precedent for how incredibly close and loving the 2 of them became together for the rest of his life. I could go on and regale you for days with more of these wonderful stories about my brother Harry, but tragically someone with so much love, enthusiasm, creativity, devilishness, loyalty, and passion has had his time here cut short. It's been wonderful reading all the kind things people have been saying this past week about Harry posthumously, both as a person and a professional. But I sincerely hope this provides a teaching moment for some, that the next time someone with so much genuine goodness and talent to offer to the world comes reaching out for a second chance, perhaps they're shown a bit more grace and welcome back with opportunity to the community to which they've given so much. Harry, the world is definitely not as funny a place without you still here in it. We'll miss you every day, and we'll love you forever.
Finally, Brother Danny Teinowitz.
Why not?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for being here in person and both on the live stream, and even if you're watching this later. It looks like it's standing room only. Harry would have loved it. Harry Teinowitz was the best big brother I could ever imagine having. He was selfless, he was sweet, he was generous, and he was very, very funny. Having Harry as my big brother was equivalent to winning a Mega Millions or a Powerball jackpot. Harry Teinowitz was my older brother. I mean, how cool was that? Harry taught me how to love sports. He taught me how to love theater and performing. And he taught me how to order fettuccine Alfredo as an appetizer. Harry was very protective of me, and he would have done anything for me. Harry taught me how to be confident in myself, and I looked up to him every single day of my life. It is truly devastating and heartbreaking to lose Harry. I will never recover from the incalculable, insurmountable, and profound loss of my amazing and beloved older brother, Harry. Our family is broken, and it will never be complete again. There is a gaping hole in the Teinowitz family which can never be repaired. He and I had so much fun together as children, going to Cubs and White Sox games, as well as to those at the Bears and the Blackhawks and the Bulls. And Harry and I had a favorite ritual at Wrigley Field in the mid-1970s. After a Cubs game, we would go down and approach the bat boy in the visiting dugouts in an attempt to purchase some of the cracked bats from the bat boy. Harry and I probably bought a couple dozen of them over the years in the mid-1970s for $4 or $5. I remember, I still have these bats. We got a George Foster, we got an Ed Kranepool, we got a Felix Meehan, Ted Sizemore, etc. But the best one we ever purchased was the Pete Rose bat. This is a Pete Rose bat, game used, Wrigley Field, mid-1970s. And Harry really loved this very special bat. He kept it with him all these years. And Harry and I actually talked about this precious Pete Rose bat from time to time. Harry informed me he wanted to keep the Pete Rose bat, and he said, "I'll keep the Pete Rose bat, and you can keep all the other ones." And I said, "Fine. That sounds fine." And several days ago, I found this Pete Rose bat leaning against the shelf of a bookcase in Harry's master bedroom. I'm going to hold on to this bat, HT, and every time I look at it, hold it, or take some practice swings pretending I'm a baseball player with it, I will think of you and how much fun we always had at Clark and Addison, and of how much I loved you. And of course, there were many enjoyable days spent at the racetrack with Nancy and Billy. And our family had a horse, Blue Chip Dan, who was named for me, who ran against Secretariat in the Invitational in 1973. And Harry was just so excited to give me this birthday present back on Friday, July 11th at our dinner. And he brought me 2 shirts. He said, "You're going to like one, but you're going to love the other one." And so So the first shirt he gave me was a King Tuck shirt in honor of Cubs star outfielder Michael Tucker. And Harry was really upset because they had sent him a shirt that was 2 sizes too big for me. But then he said, "You're going to love this t-shirt. You're really going to love this shirt. It's really cool." And then he handed me Secretariat, America's horse. And I was very excited to receive this t-shirt, but Harry was even more excited to give it to me. It gave him so much pleasure for him to give it to me, and I love giving him birthday gifts, and he loved giving birthday gifts to me, and it breaks my heart that this will be the last birthday gift I ever received from Harry. And it's truly devastating to lose Harry. And now, I have absolutely no idea what to do with 257 jerseys. I found 3 Calgary Flames jerseys in Harry's bedroom closet. Professional NHL hockey players who play for the Calgary Flames don't even have 3 Calgary Flames jerseys. I also found 2 California Golden Seals jerseys in there, and that franchise had not even played in the NHL since 1976. And as Nancy noted, we had wonderful family vacations, and the 4 of us Teinowitz siblings, we always loved being together. We loved spending time together and traveling places and just being in Chicago. We were a team. And Harry had accomplished so much in his professional life, but he had so much left to do, and it is so cruel and unacceptable and unfair to me that Harry was cheated out of the additional decades of life to which he was entitled. And he unquestionably deserved a much better fate, and of course, another shot. Harry had a lot of unfinished business, and his best work was yet to come. Harry was actually working on a screenplay in his final months, and HT, I'm going to try to write a screenplay. The one minor detail is I have no idea whatsoever how to write a screenplay, and if my screenplay does not suck, I'm going to dedicate it to you. And just like American actor, comedian, and humorist Will Rogers never met a man he didn't like, Harry really never met an idea he didn't like. Harry suggested that the Chicago White Sox have a sleepover at U.S. Cellular Field, and lo and behold, they actually did it. A sleepover at the park. And he used to go down with his radio co-host to the Super Bowl week, to Radio Row, and Harry suggested at multiple Super Bowl week press conferences that the NFL begin to schedule 2 games every Monday night. And the NFL eventually began to schedule 2 games on the first Monday night of the NFL season. Now, whenever Harry attended a wedding, he would invariably ask someone, if he's the best man, why is she marrying him? He just couldn't figure it out. And even as an adult, if a waiter or waitress came over to offer him coffee, he would reply, no thank you. I don't drink coffee. Coffee is for grown-ups. I'd also like to share a couple of the special talents which Harry listed on his acting resume. First, he listed that he could recite the classic film It's a Wonderful Life in 86 seconds, which he could basically do. In summary, Harry also included on his acting resume that he could hold his breath underwater longer than 86 seconds. I never actually saw Harry accomplish that feat. Lucy and Reggie, you need to know that you were by far your father's 2 favorite people in the world, and he loved you more than he loved anyone else. And tragically, he's no longer here. He's with us in spirit, but Lucy and Reggie, you have Nancy and Billy and me, and we'll do for you whatever you need and give to you whatever you want whenever you need it. Nancy, Billy, and I all love you very much, and we're extremely proud of your accomplishments as well as of your very bright futures. And every time Harry would call me, he would say, DT, HT. And I would like to just briefly share one of the many wonderful voicemail messages which Harry left me over the years.
DTHT, I'm sorry it took me so long to get back to you. How are you? Believe it or not, we are all 4 going to join you on Sunday night for Mother's Day at Singtown at 5 o'clock. 4 of us. Looking forward to it. And I appreciate you calling and inviting. I will planning on going to see Mom for bingo on Sunday morning. Tomorrow I've got a meeting in the morning, then I'm going to run a call for the Water World. Then after the Cubs Sox game, there's like a 25-minute post game, and then we do our show on Saturday. And I'll see you on Sunday. Okay? I'm sure networks are very happy that Las Vegas is playing Winnipeg in the Western Conference Finals. I hope you're good, DG. Thank you. Bye.
So that's pretty much a summary of Harry in 58 seconds. He talked about he wanted to be with his family, he loved his mother, he went to play bingo with her, he wanted to go out for Chinese food, and he was talking about how excited the networks were that the Golden Knights and the Jets were playing in the Western Conference Finals. All in 58 seconds. Harry truly loved being with his family. He enjoyed making comments on almost every sporting event, and he always stayed in touch. Harry, I will always love you. I will always miss you. You were able to achieve success as an actor, as a stand-up comedian, and as a sports radio personality for 25 years. I was extremely proud of you. I wanted to be exactly like you, and I will do my best every single day of my life to make you proud of me. HT, you were one of a kind, and I loved you so much. You were a great and magnificent person, an incredible brother to Nancy and me, and Nancy, Billy, and me, and a brother-in-law to Scott, and a fiercely loyal friend to hundreds of people. You had close friends from Central School in Glencoe, and New Trier East in Winnetka, and the world of improv, the world of stand-up comedy, and all your friends from Chicago Sports Radio for 25 years. You loved doing things for others without asking for anything in exchange. You were the best, Harry, and you fought so hard before and after your liver transplant, and I really thought you were going to make it. I loved you so much, HT. I hope you knew how much you were idolized, loved, and appreciated. Harry, you were the best big brother I could ever imagine having.
A modern poet wrote, "You can shed the tears that he is gone, or you can smile because he has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that he will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that he has left. Your heart can be empty because you cannot see him, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember him and only that he is gone, or you can cherish his memory and let that live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what he would want, smile, open your eyes, love, and go on." And we're going to hear a song from the boss. It's in the handout, and we're going to hear it too.
Shirts in the closet, shoes in the hall, mama's in the kitchen, baby and all. Everything is everything. Everything is everything. But you're missing. Coffee cups on the counter, jackets on the chair, papers on the doorstep, but you're not there. Everything is everything. Everything is everything. But you're missing. Pictures on the nightstand, TV's on in the day. Your house is waiting, your house is waiting for you to walk in, for you to walk in. But you're missing, you're missing, you're missing. When I shut out the lights, you're missing. When I close my eyes, you're missing. When I see the sunrise, you're missing. Children are asking if it's alright. Will you be in our arms tonight? Morning is morning, the evening falls. I got too much room in my bed, too many phone calls. How's everything, everything? Everything, everything. But you're missing. You're missing. shoes, nothing but teardrops.
We just did the Kriya ceremony, the ancient ritual of tearing, evoking the biblical custom of rending garments as an outward sign of inner feeling, and a prayer for healing, just like cloth can be sewn and made whole, so your hearts, we pray, will be made whole, but will always carry the mark of love. That did not mean anything.
Sorry.
But it does indicate that we're coming to the end of the chapel service. So we turn to our final prayer, to the El Malei Rachamim. I invite you to please rise as you're able for this final prayer in the chapel.
But it was so far without
El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamtzei Menucha Nechoino, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, Im Kadoshim Utoirim, Kezohar Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Reb Hershel Tzvi, Bas Lea Sarah V'Faivo, Shalavach Li'oilamo. Lochein Bar Harachamim, Yastirehu Beseter Kanafav Li'olamim, Veyitzror Bitzror HaChaim, Et Nishmato. Adonai hu nachalato, ve'yanuach ve'shalom al mishkafav, ve'nomar amen. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament unto the soul of Harry Teinowitz, who has gone into eternity. Lord of mercy, bring him under the cover of thy wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be thou his possession, and may his repose be peace, and we say, Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. You may be seated. This concludes the service here at the chapel. The interment will take place at Memorial Park Cemetery here in Skokie. Procession to the cemetery is about 5 minutes. If you're planning to join us in procession, please grab an orange funeral sticker by the front door as you exit to your cars. It will adhere to the inside of the front windshield and will go in front of the passenger about halfway up. For the safety of yourself and others, please keep your four-way flashers or hazards on, remain off your cell phone, and keep a safe but close distance to the car in front of you. As a note, the hearse is the only car to follow traffic laws. Everybody else, you will drive through any red lights or stop signs that we come across. If you're joining us in procession, we will be exiting and lining up at the north exit of the parking lot. If you are not heading to the cemetery, we ask that you leave immediately through the south exit. At this time, pallbearers, I'm going to call you up by name. When I call your name, please step forward. Nancy Teinowitz, Danny Teinowitz, Billy Teinowitz, Scott Barker, Greg Ruttenberg, Mark Miller, Ira Teinowitz, Robert Teinowitz, Amy Teinowitz-James, Jennifer Stein, and Elizabeth Stein. Pallbearers, you'll follow behind the casket in pairs. Everybody else, please rise if you're able to do so, and keep your favorite memory of Harry in mind as he's escorted from the chapel.
Thanks for coming.
Pallbearers, you'll follow behind in pairs.
I was going to stand up. I was going to stand up and say you're wrong, but I didn't think I'll all the rest of you
Hiding behind my son. That's my son.
Thank you all so much. Please head to your cars immediately. Again, if you are lining up in procession, we're gathering at the north exit. If you are not headed to the cemetery, please exit through the south exit immediately. Thank you.